Hey, this is Shaun with the Go Tennis Podcast, powered by Signature Tennis. Check out our calendar of tennis events at letsgotennis.com. And if you're a fan of bull shark sports, you can go to shop.letsgotennis.com and get yourself a hoodie or a hat. Today, this is Youth Sports Talk with Coach Ben Hestley. Today, Coach Ben wants to talk about how the league and organizational systems can help add responsibility to our kids. Ben, you ready to talk youth sports?
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one, I hope. Let's dive in.
All right, today, Coach Ben wants to talk about how parents are handling everything for the kids these days, and we aren't encouraging the kids to take more responsibility. So, Ben, is this a bit of a continuation of our responsibility pandemic concerns? And we're just kicking around some ideas as to how we coach types can maybe help?
Yeah, I think it's like last week we had the whole "I'm your daddy, not your caddy" kind of theme, and talked about more responsibility that the parents can have to teach the for the parents can give more responsibility to their kids to kind of have them take ownership of their sport. And today we'll focus more on the systems. So the system could be anything like top to bottom. You could be the national governing body of your sport to the local league or tournament directors or down to your team's coach. And one thing that kind of struck me to have this conversation was somebody I saw or sport I saw doing it right, as I would say, and that's volleyball. And my niece, she's 13, she plays club volleyball. And when she goes to tournaments, it's pretty commonplace that one of their responsibilities is after their match, they have to be the line judge or a scorekeeper for another match. So it's a way they get the girls involved, teach them some responsibility of the sport. And I just thought that was a great example and something that more sports might could do.
I think that is a great example. And I've been picturing my childhood soccer where we were younger, but one of the older kids, either whether he was volunteered or paid $5, I don't know which, was running the sideline as a referee, as an assistant referee. And I think that's one of the things the team sports get right is because one referee can handle two teams, and you've got all those parents handled by one team or by one referee with a couple of his assistants. Tennis being different, probably golf being different. Some of the sports are going to be very different in, do I really want another 12-year-old helping my 12-year-old play a different 12-year-old and trying to figure out line calls? There are probably some ways this doesn't fit in, but I don't really think that's the specifics that you're talking about. If we zoom out and talk about systems, we talk about USTA or we talk about American Baseball Association, whatever those things are.
USA Baseball, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure softball has one. Everybody's got it, right? Are they trying to create more responsibility for the kids, or are they so focused on efficiency that they just go to the parent and ask for help there because the parent's a little bit better at it? Does that question even make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes total sense. I think a lot of times these organizations become so parent driven, so parent heavy. I think about in my own world, as a kid, like much your example, as a kid, we were at the ball field, and after our baseball game, we would run the scoreboard for other baseball games, right? It might be somebody the same, it might be a game of the same age, it might be kids that are younger than us, older than us, whatever. But we just ran the scoreboard. We're kids. I think we got paid in free Cokes and free hot dogs from the concession.
Exactly, Doritos.
and now, and technology is great. Now with technology, there's often an app. So parents have apps on their phone, and it's wired or connected rather to the scoreboard, and it's parent run. Right? Why couldn't a kid do that? Like when we were kids. So that's kind of what we're getting at today.
And in that case, we look at other sports, basketball, just pick any sport. I don't know a lot about American football at the kid level. I can watch it on television and know what's going on, but at the kid level, and we look at these things and say, okay, well, can the other kids help? Can the older kids help the younger kids? Because for thousands of years, humans have put older in charge of younger, and they help themselves so the parent can continue doing what the parent needs to do. While we're not leaving our 7-year-old to be completely raised by the 12-year-old, but there is a time where the 12-year-old can manage the younger kids playing a game.
Yeah, and there's some things that are going to need to be adult led, right? Like I'm not advocating that a 12-year-old be behind the plate calling balls and strikes in a youth baseball game, right?
I'd
That's
like to
that's
see
probably
that.
not a good idea. Basketball, you probably don't want the refs, although in soccer it works well. In basketball, there's kind of more fouls and stuff, I would imagine, than in a soccer match. So you probably need an adult to referee those games. However, I will say that my kids have friends that that's their job. They play in a youth rec basketball league, and then I think they actually get paid some wow $5 an hour, $7 an hour, whatever it is. But they get that's their job is after their game or before their game, they are running the scoreboard for the other basketball games, which I think is great. I mean, that's
Yeah.
more stuff we can dish off to the kids and teach them responsibility, teach them love of the game, help them learn about the sport. You learn so much. We talked about this before about how many kids that play baseball actually watch baseball. How many kids that play soccer have ever actually been to an Atlanta United game or any kind of soccer match? So involving them in some of the processes of constructing a game that can lend some responsibility and teach them parts of the game that maybe they don't otherwise get experience with.
Yeah, and it reminds me of as a coach, as a young tennis coach, I would have all of the kids chart matches when they weren't playing a match. I think we've mentioned this before.
Yeah.
When they weren't playing their own match, they were busy doing something for one of the other kids, and their match was always getting charted by somebody else. And it was a team, kind of creating a bit of a team atmosphere, but also an educational atmosphere within a group of kids playing an individual sport.
Yeah. And think about this, like in your case, how I always find it's more impactful oftentimes that the accountability comes from a peer or a teammate than from a coach, right? Like, for example, if I'm sitting there and I'm waiting just patiently or impatiently for the kids to be quiet, and so I can either explain or demonstrate the next activity we're going to do in our practice session, I could yell and scream to oblivion until they all shut up, or I could just sit there quietly. And at some point, especially with like older kids, one kid in that group's gonna be like, "Hey guys, cut it out! Like, be quiet, coach. I came to play. I want to practice. Like, he's
Yep.
waiting for us. Let's go." And that oftentimes is more impactful than me yelling and screaming at the kid to shut up. So to your point about charting matches, think about the crazy parent, right? The Mike Agassi type, who's gonna chart their kid's match. And he or she's gonna run down and meet him courtside after the match and go, "Hey, Shaun, you you only got 50% of your serves in that match. We got it. Let's grab a basket. Let's go out on the back courts and let's work on that." Or option B is you had one of your fellow players in the program chart the match, and they come up and go, "Hey," and Shaun, you're like, "Hey, Sally, how'd I do today?" You're like, "Oh well, you only got 50% of your serves in." Ooh, okay, man, that's maybe I should practice my serve. Which one do you think the kid's going to take more ownership of their improvement with?
Well, number one, I would think Coach Ben Hestley would tell us to not look at the stats until the next day. Like, go home, go get some ice cream,
Yeah,
take the night
sure,
off, but
sure.
next day go look at the
Yeah, yeah,
stats. But
yeah,
you're
yeah.
right, because
Or
we
later. Now, if they ask though, see that my example that
nope,
you
not
asked.
allowed to look at it. No,
You
ice
didn't
cream first.
say, hey, I don't care. If they ask, I'm gonna tell it to them, you know?
Sure, sure.
But if they
Yeah,
don't ask, that's when we go get ice cream and forget about the sport for a minute.
yeah. Well, my phrase, screw the layups, Dad. Like, come on, can you be Dad for a minute without
Yeah.
chewing me out? So that's a one-on-one coach scenario. The question is institutionally. We talk
Yeah.
these days about institutional things and things that have just been embedded in the culture that are stuck here. Is this something that happens over decades? Is this something that we can't just flip a switch and have all of the organizations decide these kids need more responsibility?
No, I don't think we can do that. And I think some places are doing it right. Like the volleyball example, that's a great thing to have the girls be line judges and scorekeepers. I'm sure it's not a perfect system, right? But imagine if we did that in tennis. Imagine if we had people that maybe it's not a 12-year-old monitoring a 12-year-old, but I have had in our own kind of inner club type environments where a teenager would be the court monitor for a red ball match, of 8 unders, or an orange ball match of 10 unders. So there is, like you mentioned earlier, there's older kids watching out for the younger kids. I think that's a powerful thing for your program. But yeah, institutionally, we can't just flip a switch, but definitely starting with our national governing bodies, they can't really mandate necessarily. It's a free country, right? You can do whatever you want, but they can definitely advise and suggest and create sort of outlines, if you will, of how things should run at the local level. And that's really the job of the governing bodies, and hopefully the local leagues and tournament directors will follow suit and do some of that. But that's kind of where we have to be, and find, again, you're gonna have to have adult involvement, but where are some areas that the kids can get involved and learn some responsibility?
Yeah, and the pendulum swings, right? When we say we go too far one way, we swing back the other way, and
Yeah.
hopefully at some point it kind of finds its happy medium. And in this case, I think I'll just speak for myself that a lot of younger people haven't grown up with enough responsibility. And a bit of that is because we're all wealthier than we used to be. It doesn't feel like it right now with the price of eggs. I get it. But we're all growing up more comfortable and without the same backbreaking responsibility from thousands of years ago. So I think we should find ways to add responsibility for the children. And yeah, I think it follows from a previous conversation we had, which is how much responsibility can you hand your child to where they crave it, they want it, and they later then you're not worried about paying them for their chores. At some point, it becomes what they're simply responsible for. And yes, the parents are ultimately responsible for creating responsible human beings. The buck stops with the parent, but the organizations can help.
Yeah. And I think too that it gives the kid a more sort of holistic view of their sport rather than just their experience in that sport. And some of the compromise has to come on the parents' end. I'm sure my brother-in-law is not thrilled that after Bren's volleyball match, he's got to sit there for another hour and a half or 2 hours because she can't drive. So somebody has to drive her. So
Mhm.
he's got to sit there for another 90 minutes to 2 hours waiting for her to finish her responsibility scorekeeping a match. I'm sure he'd rather be doing other stuff than that, right? And how many times do we just grab the kid and go home after the game or match is over, rather than putting them in a position to see the whole view and not just worried about them? I mean, tennis, man, we're individuals. It's all about us, right? So when we play tennis, we're going through the junior tournament ranks. I mean, we prep for our match, we play our match, we do our post match routine, we get ready for the next match. It's all about us. I mean, I can see a parent complaining that I got to go out there in the hot sun and court monitor a match in between my match. I need to be in the shade. I need to get some food. I need to get my massage going on. I need to stretch. I need to practice, whatever the case may be. Maybe it would take some pressure off the parent, take some pressure off the kid, and just give them a more holistic view of what this is all about, that we're all in this together. We're all trying to get better, and we all want our sport, whatever your sport is, to be better and to be more fun.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't have any more questions. I'm like that. That's it to me. Is
I think
there
that's it,
you got
man.
another story that needs to be told? I mean, what's how are we gonna hammer this one home?
I mean, I don't really. I mean, I hit all my show notes,
Okay,
so I
okay.
think bottom line, how our systems, top to bottom, how can we get the kids more responsible? How can we teach more responsibility? And getting them to understand the whole thing, the holistic view of what they're doing and what they're involved in. And then that peer-to-peer accountability is so powerful
Hmm.
when peers are holding each other. And I don't mean holding each other accountable for like, hey Shaun, why'd you miss that shot, man? Come on, you're selling, dude. Like, I don't mean that stuff. I mean
Right.
the character piece, right? Hey, be quiet when coach is talking. Know your position in the batting order. Know what court you're going to go on. Hey, why is your mom over here carrying your bag? You should be carrying your bag. Like that sort of stuff that the kids can help each other with, and it just makes things more impactful. But definitely the systems thinking about ways to put the kids in positions, I should say, to teach them more responsibility about the overall process of their sport.
I think we found the show name, the episode name, Responsibility as a Habit.
There you
Maybe
go.
we can add that in. But Ben, I appreciate it. This has been
Love
Youth
it.
Sports Talk with Coach Ben Hestley. Thank you, sir. We'll see you next week.
Hey, have a good week, parents. Keep those responsibilities coming for your kids.